So the modern incinerator is attempting to perfect a bad idea. Incidentally, I did, Peter, visit one of those gasifying plants in Japan and was not impressed.
Oh yeah, they're primitive.
Yes. The modern incinerator is attempting to perfect a bad idea. At the industrial level, our task in the 21st century is not to find better ways to destroy discarded materials. In the 21st century, our task is to stop making packaging and products that have to be destroyed. And at the personal level, we have to search for a lifestyle beyond this simplistic and planet-destroying consumerism. Okay, so the waste problem then will not be solved with better technology. It will be solved with better organization, better education, and ultimately better industrial design. So zero waste is a new direction. We're moving from the back end of waste management to the front end of resource management, better industrial design, and post-consumerism. The key is to find a way to use community responsibility at the back end, and we know we can get that community responsibility. I've seen it in many, many countries. To drive industrial responsibility at the front end. And having said that, there are some industries which are way ahead of us in terms of aiming for zero waste and saving a lot of money in the process. Zero waste can be approached with a series of simple steps, which are practical. I mean, you're counselors and you want this, don't you? You want practical solutions which are cost-effective and are politically acceptable, and to add icing on the cake, create for you a lot of jobs and stimulate a lot of local industries. So let's go through those 10 steps now. The first 2 steps are source separation and door-to-door collection. These 10 things make waste, and these 10 things can unmake waste with a few seconds and minutes of everyone's day. Not a big deal. And then you make the collection very simple. This is the San Francisco system, which on every bus shelter in San Francisco it says, recycling is now as easy as 1, 2, 3. One container for all the recyclables, one container for all the compostables, one container for all the residuals. And there are systems like that in England, by the way. Derby has the same 3 containers there. In Italy, they have what I think is a more elegant system, where they have got a system which has not involved making different trucks or new trucks. They use the same truck, but on different days, the people are educated to put out different things. On Mondays, they put out the organics, the compostables. On Tuesdays, they put out the mixed recyclables. On Wednesdays, they put out the paper. On Thursdays, the residual fraction, and then the compostables for Friday, and the recyclables again on Saturday. So cost effective that the mayor was able to reduce the taxes with the introduction of this system. Why? Because it was costing so much to send this material to landfills and incinerators, and every time you recycle and compost, you don't have to do that. So composting or anaerobic digestion or even vermiculture, where you're using worms, but simply breaking down the organics so that they can go back to the soil in one way or another. Very important. The first thing we need to do is to feed food to humans. We're wasting an enormous amount of organic waste right now. When supermarkets, so when the expiration date comes due, they shove it into trucks and send it to an incinerator. Absolute nonsense. So we need to organize to make sure that before that food date line expires, that it's got to people that can eat it, or can use it, homeless people, and so on. Just organization. Secondly, food to animals. If you don't have your own pets, then at least feed the pets down the road with your bones and meat. Third, backyard composting. That's the single biggest contribution that any individual can do. I would suggest that you do what many communities do and subsidize those backyard composting kits. And I would ask you also to consider the possibility of training high school students in the art of becoming a master backyard composter, so they could go to people's homes, hold their hands, show them how this works, and troubleshoot any problems that comes up. Amongst other things, you will stagger the elders, people in this community when they see how responsible teenagers can be. Fourth, community composting. Zurich, Switzerland has 1,000 community compost piles, run from anything from 3 households to 1,000 households, handling 50% of the organic waste in Zurich. 5, co-composting with local farmers. This is a win-win situation. As you heard from a previous speaker, a lot of farmers producing a huge excess of manures and so on. But if that's co-composted with the organic waste from the domestic waste stream, then we can produce a higher grade material and they've got something off their hands. And they can make some money to boot. And then finally, you back all this up with a centralized composting facility. The importance of composting. It returns nutrients to the soil. It increases the soil's retention of water, which may ultimately be the most important thing. It retains carbon, which fights global warming. It also makes it easier for cities to handle the rest. Once you've got the smelly stuff out, it's much easier then to handle the bottles, cans, and newspapers, and so on. And last, for you to use compost in agriculture, you must have it clean, and that's why you must have door-to-door collection. Otherwise, you won't get it clean if you have drop-off containers anywhere downtown. So going back to San Francisco, the organics there go to a composting facility, low-tech. It's surrounded by farmland. The farmers use the organic waste to produce fruit, vegetables, and wine, which goes back to San Francisco. They knew that the richest source of organics in San Francisco was going to come from the restaurants and the hotels. So they made it 25% cheaper to put out clean organic waste than mixed waste, to have the economic driver. They also sent out teams to educate the hotel and restaurant staff to do it right. Again, organization, education. A little bit of technology can work marvels. This is a Scarab machine from Texas. It's got flails here. It goes right the way down a windrow compost, turning it, flailing. There are steel chains in there that are whipping round. And if there are any rats in there, you'll soon get half a rat, quarter of a rat, eighth of a rat. And this is so much easier to use this kind of technology, which is about $1 million, I think, the last time I looked, than those front-end loaders. It makes it extremely easy. Just in a few minutes, you go down one whole windrow. Recycling. Again, in San Francisco, we've got this massive materials recycling facility and a state-of-the-art facility. You heard from an earlier speaker, they've now got lasers and things that can distinguish different plastics. You've got the magnets for the steel. There are all kinds of mechanical things to do, but this is backed up with human power as well. And so instead of ending up with smoke and nanoparticles and ash, you end up with resources. That, to me, is the social contract between cities and rural areas. Not for the cities to send their waste to landfills, which nobody wants, or to build the incinerators in rural areas like this beautiful area here. But you send your job in the city is to separate the organics, clean, get them out to the rural areas where it's composted, and the rural areas, by the same token, can gather all their recyclables and send it to the massive recycling plants, a la San Francisco, where you've got the economy of scale, where you've got a large labor force, where you've got the markets, and you've also got the transport system. So that, I think, exchange of functions makes a lot of sense. Fifth, reuse, repair, and deconstruction. One of the things which is absolutely magnificent, I think, and unique in England is the charity shops, the thrift shops that you go down the high street. You have maybe a dozen of them in your high street, Help the Aged, Cancer, Oxfam, and so on. And they wouldn't be there unless they were making money. What I'm suggesting now is something to back them up. I saw such a facility in Bodmin in Cornwall. Sorry, I didn't see it, I was told about it. But basically, here's the economics. The reusable items are low volume, high value, as opposed to recyclables, which are high volume, low value. In Los Angeles, they reckon that the reusable items are about 2% of the total, but their value is well over a third of the financial value. So this tells you right away, if you capture this small percentage here, you're going to make a lot of money, and you're going to create a lot of jobs, and you're going to create small business.